Hi, I'm Dave Scott. I'm out here in my backyard and I've got my towel set up. We got a really great question from a woman, Carrie. I won't use your last name, Carrie, about weak glutes, and you've got one side that really is having trouble. You're doing yoga, but you seemingly still have difficulties. What are some good glute hamstring exercises, or really to avoid the hamstring, because the hamstring has a tendency to override the glute when it's weak? So I'm going to show you a few that you can put together. These work quite well if you put them in sequence, and you may find on this first one that your hamstring is overactive. So I'm going to show you how to do it. It's a supine bridge. You do it double leg, and as you get stronger, you can go single leg as well. So the first thing is you want to make sure that you're kind of drawing in your belt line muscle to firm up your core a little bit. In other words, I'm going to lower that gap between my navel and my spine. So I'm just drawing in my belt line muscle as I'm doing this, your transverse abdominis primarily, and you don't want to hold your breath. And I can do this as I'm speaking. And you want to be doing this while you're running and cycling as well, and also in the swim, which will eliminate some of the wobble in your legs. So let's start with this first one. Both feet are on the ground. I'm going to keep them flat. I have about a fist width apart, and I have my knees about a fist width apart. Arms are at the side, palms are up. And as I do this, I'm going to make sure that I kind of squeeze my glutes, and I'm pretty graphic on this. You want to try to squeeze your crack first. Draw your belt line muscle in, make sure the pressure is even with your feet, and then bridge up into a pelvic thrust. And I've got my cycling kit on because I'm getting ready to go out on the bike, so it's a good thing to do before you go out on the bike. So as I push up, I can check the load on my pressure in my glutes. First off, I'll just put my hand here, and I can feel that my glutes are tight. But if I think about my knees, they're staying at a fist width. My feet are just inside fist width. And as I bring my feet in medially, put more pressure on the inside of my shoe, I can really activate that glute. So ideally when I do these, I do them in succession. So I go down, I tap, draw my belt line in, squeeze my glutes, and press up, and now bring the pressure in towards the inside of my foot. Try to do 8 to 10 reps, 2 sets of these, and you can pause for 3 to 5 seconds on the last few. So as I come up, I go 1, 2, 3, and then I'm holding that. Now as you get stronger, shift all your weight to your left side. So let's say my left leg, my left glute is the weak one. Keep that very, very active, and just lift your right foot a couple inches off the ground. Come down and tap lightly with that left glute, and then come back up. Push up real high. The tendency is that you're going to sag a little bit or lift from side to side. So make sure that you're pushing your pelvis up real high, keeping that glute contraction as firm as you can. So we'll do the initial reps on a double and then go a single leg. And again, we want to make sure that we do this bilaterally so that we're doing left leg and then also right leg. 2 complete sets of both double and then also single. So that's the first one. Next one's a sideline clam. And when you're doing the sideline clam, I see a lot of people doing it incorrectly. Arms straight ahead, palm is down. My lead arm is extended out in front, and this keeps my forward hip, or my top hip, my left hip slightly forward. If you look, my left knee is just ahead of my right knee, so it's stacked to keep this left hip forward. If I bring it back here and side lie evenly, my TFL is going to start to fire, and also a lot of times my rectus femoris. I don't want to do that, so I want to squeeze my glute. So this hand keeps me forward. I'm just going to put my head down. I could use a nice little pillow here, and I'm just going to keep my feet intact and just come up slowly and simultaneously squeeze that glute. Draw that belt line muscle in. Bring my knee back down, tap, and then back up. 8 to 12 reps. You can pause 3 to 5 seconds on your last few so you get a nice firm contraction. That's step number 1. Step number 2, without any rest, you're going to go from a low position, in other words touching, to a high position. So as I do this, I'm going to kick back and slightly behind. So when I finish this extension, if you look at my foot, it's behind my right foot, which is down, and I'm keeping my right foot as flat as I can. I'm squeezing this glute. So I go low to high, and again, keeping my hand forward, my hip slightly forward as I'm doing this. Number 3 is just think of your foot as being a hammer. So I'm going to point my toe down, my leg is straight, glute is nice and tight, quad is tight, belt line muscle is in, and I'm going to tap my toe, and I'm going to come back up and lift it up, and I can really feel this glute contraction nice and tight. If I get too far back this way, I'm going to feel my quad. You don't want to do that. So that's a good start, Carrie. Those exercises in succession will be really helpful to getting that glute, and you're doing it unilaterally. In other words, one leg at a time, as I just showed you. And obviously you want to do it on both sides. Don't think my other leg is fine, my glute's fine on the other side. Make sure you flip-flop and you do a couple sets of each, anywhere between 8 to 12 reps. Hold for 3 to 5 seconds on the last few, and you're going to get a really tight contraction. That glute's going to start to fire. Do this before you go out to work out, because you get that nervous system to help interact with the muscular system, and you get that neuromuscular connection, and everything's going to work like a charm.